The Rolling Stones will never tour again. There, I said it. The proof was right in front of us during the Hackney Diamonds Tour in 2024. What looked like another triumphant run now deserves a closer look. Let's look at the facts. What fans believe, what promoters know, and why a new European tour never saw the light of day. I know what you're thinking, because honestly, I thought it too. We've been here before, right? Every time the Stones finish a tour, the same talk starts. This was the last one, and almost every time we're wrong. Mick shows up again, moving like age is just a suggestion. Keith is still there, still playing, still somehow alive, and we all shrug and go, yeah, okay, never doubt them again. That history matters, because it trained us not to believe in endings. The Stones don't follow normal timelines. They outlasted scenes, critics, even common sense. So when the Hackney Diamonds Tour ended in 2024, most of us treated it exactly the same way. Another strong run. Another reminder that they could still do it. If they wanted to, they'd be back next year. That's what it felt like. But what felt normal on stage didn't match what happened afterward. There was no momentum, no teasing, no loose interviews hinting at Europe next. Instead, there was a strange pause, and then, quietly, stories began surfacing about plans that never made it past the backstage level. European dates discussed, venues explored, schedules tested, and then nothing. No announcement, no postponement, just silence. That's when it starts to click. This isn't about whether they can still play. We've seen that they can. It's about whether they can still live inside the touring machine. Months on the road, constant travel, physical recovery you can't rush, promoters needing certainty that simply isn't possible anymore. I don't hear defeat in that. I hear reality. So what do we actually know about this European tour everyone keeps arguing about? First, no, nothing was ever officially announced. No press release, no dates on the Stones website, no tickets. And that's exactly why some fans still say, well, it never really existed. But that's not how touring works, especially at this level. What did exist were serious, behind-the-scenes talks about a UK and European stadium tour in 2026, essentially a continuation of the Hackney Diamonds cycle. That's not speculation. Multiple promoters were involved. Routing was explored. Major cities were discussed. The usual Stones-level stops, London, Berlin, Lisbon, and yes, Rotterdam. Not clubs, not festivals. A proper stadium run. But here's the crucial part. None of those venues were ever locked in. No contracts signed. No announcements prepared. Everything stayed in that fragile planning phase where one single no can kill the entire thing. And that's exactly what happened. From what emerged later, the issue wasn't demand, money, or performance quality. It was commitment. A full European tour means months of travel, constant movement, border crossings, rehearsals, rest days that never feel long enough. And at this stage, that level of certainty just isn't something the band can promise anymore. Especially Keith Richards, who reportedly wasn't comfortable committing to a long, grueling schedule across multiple countries. What really stands out is this. When the idea stalled, it didn't morph into something else. There was no scaled-down version announced. No, we'll try again later. The entire concept simply faded out. That silence says more than any press statement ever could. Now, this is where the story stops being abstract and becomes very real, because out of all the possible European stops, Rotterdam is the one place where we know how far things actually went. The idea was that the Stones would play De Kuip in June 2026, which sounds crazy at first, because everyone knew Kuip concerts were finished, noise agreements, city deals, biggest Dutch rock band directs farewell shows in 2025. End of story, right? Well, not quite. Behind the scenes, that assumption got challenged. Quietly, carefully, promoters started asking questions. Stadium officials checked what was actually possible. City politicians were approached discreetly, and it turned out the situation wasn't as airtight as people thought. With the right timing, the right exceptions, and frankly the right band, something might still work. Specific dates were explored. Mid-June 2026 kept coming back, especially June 15th and 16. Those dates even appeared anonymously on internal event calendars. No band name, just event. Communication strategies were drafted, scenarios discussed, and the fact that none of this leaked for months tells you how serious it was. This wasn't barroom chatter. This was controlled, high-level planning. There's also a small but fascinating side note here. Around that same period, the Stones released a reissue featuring a bonus track called Rotterdam Jam. On paper, it's just a 1975 studio outtake. Nothing new. No hidden message. But knowing what was being discussed behind closed doors, the timing feels eerie. Not a signal. Just history quietly tapping you on the shoulder. Everyone involved talks about it now, not like a fantasy, but like something that was genuinely happening, until it suddenly wasn't. No backup plan, no public explanation, just silence. What still gets me is how fast it all ended. Not slowly, not with drama, just done. One moment, things are moving. Calendars marked, people keeping quiet because everyone knows how fragile this stuff is. And then suddenly it's over. No press statement, no we're postponing, no we'll revisit this later. Just a quiet message from London, and that was it. That silence matters. Because if this had been temporary, the language would have been different. We've seen that before. Tours get delayed, routes get changed. With this band, there was always a sense of we'll figure something out. This time there was none of that. The core issue wasn't money or demand, it was commitment. Touring isn't one great show. It's repeating that show reliably for months. And at this point, someone simply couldn't promise the grind anymore. Not because they can't play, but because living inside the touring machine has become too much. Nobody tried to spin it. The idea didn't get rebranded. It didn't shrink into something else. It just vanished. Now, this is where things stop being theoretical, because we actually have someone on record who knows exactly how close this came. Leon Ramekers, longtime Dutch booker. The guy who's been involved whenever the Stones came to the Netherlands for decades. When he reacted publicly to the Rotterdam reconstruction, he confirmed this wasn't a rumor. Real preparations were underway. De Kuip was seriously discussed as an exception. Permits explored. Dates penciled in internally. Negotiations ongoing. There was already informal approval to move forward. Then came the key question. Is there still a chance they'll come? Maybe somewhere else? His answer was blunt. He said he didn't think they would ever tour again. Not for now. Not this year. Ever? What he clarified afterward matters just as much. He wasn't talking about never playing live again. He was talking specifically about touring. Long schedules, months on the road. According to him, Keith Richards can't comfortably commit to that anymore. Not because he can't perform a show, but because he can't promise the grind. He did add that something like 5 nights in New York might still be possible. One city, no travel, no constant movement. That's not a tour, that's a residency. And nobody corrected him afterward. No statement walking it back. In this business, that silence is confirmation. This is where fans often get stuck, because admitting the tour is over feels like admitting the band is over. And that's not the same thing at all. The Stones don't need a world tour to exist. They don't need it creatively, historically, or financially. What feels over is the format. The classic Stones tour. Months on the road, dozens of cities, constant movement. That model depends on predictability. And that's the one thing that no longer exists. But short, stationary runs still make sense. 5 nights in New York, maybe a few shows in London. One city, one base, controlled conditions. That's not retreating. That's adapting. The Stones have never been sentimental. No big goodbye speeches. No farewell announcements. They don't close chapters with press conferences. They close them by moving on. So yeah, maybe one day you'll hear they're playing a few nights somewhere special. And people will say, see, they're back. But a world tour? A European run? That chapter already closed quietly, realistically, and without ceremony. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree, or do you still believe one more tour is coming? Share your memories, your favorite Stones shows, and your take on the future. Like the video, subscribe for more, and pass this along to other Stones fans.
Angry